All right, hey everybody, welcome to PDQ Live. We're starting off with, I was given a small window where I could vent my frustrations with this topic.
Yes, let's do it.
And then I can't show frustrations again.
What?
Because during the pre-show, I peppered it frequently throughout the thing, and it seemed very negative. So here is my issue with the bloatware.
For Windows 11.
We're going to dive right into the anger.
I'm going with anger. So it's two separate issues that compound on each other to make it worse. One is, a few years ago, Microsoft started saying the user space is sacred, which is stolen from Linux, but the sentiment is nice. But now the sentiment is more, the user space is sacred if you pay us enough money. The other part is they are starting to remove services that have worked for a long time, and they're not documenting it properly.
On-prem services.
On-prem services. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of time spent by many sysadmins trying to figure out why something's not working, where the answer is, oh, that's not supported anymore. Mm-hmm. So if they want to gouge us on money, fine, but document that you're gouging us on money. Don't leave us to flounder and with no information and then gouge us on money. That's crappy business. That's and now I'll go back to we'll be happy.
Okay. I like it.
I'm glad we got that clear.
Well said, Jordan. Okay, so the audience asked us to do a show on removing bloatware from Windows 11.
Yes.
Okay. So we did our best.
Yeah, so the overall takeaway is if you have Windows 11 Enterprise, most likely group policy is going to work for you. Intune will definitely work.
Yes.
If you have Windows 11 Pro, group policy may work temporarily, but likely not for long. It's going to end up causing more headaches. Intune works.
Yes.
And if you have Pro and no Intune, we have some workarounds that can help you get started, but it's not ideal.
Right.
So basically, you have to dig through the E3 licensing of Intune to make this easy.
Or E5.
E5. If you pay enough, it does become easier. But for those that don't have the budget, we're going to try to give you some workarounds to make it so it does function in that environment.
Yes, and then also don't forget for group policy, the templates. They don't like to work together for Windows 10 and Windows 11. You gotta segment that.
If you are a split shop where you have Windows 10 and Windows 11, you need to have templates for both.
Or pick one.
They
don't seem to play nicely.
They don't cross, and that is a frustrating part of it.
So before we start, we are going to include all of this in bonus content. So everything that we show today, we're going to do how-tos on how to do it, starting with the group policy, the Intune, every documentation that we could find supporting what we did find out.
And you did, after hours and hours of research, you did find one article that kind of highlighted why group policy isn't working, and it should be highlighted more, but we'll give you a link to that once we go through.
We'll show it. And then as far as when we get to the scripts, we're also going to share those.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start. Where should we start, Jordan?
Let's do group policy, because if you do have Windows 11 Enterprise, group policy is most likely going to work, especially if you're all Windows 11. If you're split, just make sure you have templates for both, and then you're going to want to do the targeting based on OS.
Actually, let's start quickly and talk about what people hate.
Okay.
Can we really quick? So if we can share this, Kelly.
Do we have that kind of time, though? What people hate?
It's going to take 5 seconds. So this is Windows 11, and these pinned apps, so there's 3 sections, the pinned apps, the all apps, and then the taskbar. That seems to be what people really hate. So this start menu. Now, these pinned apps are a combination of appx packages, and a lot of people are calling them quick installers. And a big problem with them is they're not actually installed.
They're not, but it's the option of if you are in something where it is heavily regulated, users just can't be allowed to install things like TikTok and Instagram. Yeah. And meanwhile, they're putting a link right there.
Yeah. So if you click on some of these, Instagram would be an example, it'll try to install it, which is so aggravating. Okay, that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're going to try to resolve. So
that's the main one. There's some other things like telemetry, but we'll cover all of that.
We'll cover all of that. So the first thing I did was the tried and true group policy. So let's hop over to our domain controller here. And these are, as Jordan explained, if you are enterprise, okay, well, I guess that doesn't want to get any bigger. So, that's because I'm in the wrong computer. Oh, that one doesn't want to get bigger either.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard locked on size there.
Let's start with the start menu layout. So some things that people don't like is the search bar here. So you're going to come here and let's just go down. So I went to computer configuration, policies, administrative templates, and then you're going to go to start menu and taskbar.
Hey, Tara.
Yeah.
Can you center that on the screen so Jake can zoom in?
No, the
remote
window.
The remote window. There you go.
Yay. Okay, so
further down.
Once you find the start menu, you'll see there's so many settings that you can change, and this is really just up to you. So all these, add log off, people don't like that. So this is really up to you. Look at all these ones that I can change in here. So I did a whole bunch, but the one that everyone seems to be the most attached to and that I think has the most benefit is this start layout file, and that involves creating an XML. So you're going to set the start menu the way you want it, create an XML, and then import it.
Windows 10, for sure, XML. Windows 11, they claim JSON, but XML seems to work sometimes.
Yeah. And we're going to include an how-to, so you can decide for your environment which one you want to do, but that's how to do that one.
One thing important on this, if this is a setting you set during your imaging process, you're probably set it works pretty well for you. If you have machines already out there and you're trying to enforce this, is complex, because even if you take that layout file and you put it in the folder where it loads in there, it's going to load for new users logging into that computer. Existing users are going to be a constant struggle.
Yes, and if you're on 10, this will reset with a feature update for sure. Yeah. And so there are some scripts that you can run after the fact to, like you said, erase that user profile data and then have it go back. If you're enterprise, you should be okay. I'm going to do quote marks because I'm not sure on that one.
So, because even with the enterprise, and actually, can we pull up the article of a lot of the customization templates? They have come out and outright said, this isn't supported in 11, but they didn't announce it real well.
No, they didn't. So let me see if I can find the exact one. Some policies may not work as expected.
So I think the article to the left, though.
This one?
Yeah. And we have Tim can confirm enterprise start layout was maintained after feature updates.
Yeah, so all these CSP policies are no longer supported in Windows 11, so there's a ton.
So this is most of your customization people are struggling with, and this is Microsoft article outright saying this customization isn't supported by group policy anymore. And that's where, if that was prevalent and people weren't spending hours trying to make it work and they just said, hey, this isn't going to work, I think the rage would be far more subdued.
I think so. The thing that was frustrating for me in the days that I spent researching this, if you navigate to this group policy, it doesn't tell you this. So that was maddening to me.
Yeah, so this information, we're going to have that link in there. So if you were messing with any of the templates listed in there, those are most of your customization. Those aren't going to work within group policy in Windows 11, and that's Enterprise or Pro.
Or even more frustrating, they'll work one time, and then they'll stop working.
Yeah.
So that's what really annoyed me. Okay, so here's the first one, and this was the one I did the most one. Then the next one, turn off the store. This is just a one and done. So just navigate again to computer configuration policies, admin templates, and then it's just a one turn off store. Enable that one if you don't want them to download things from the store. This last one is remove bloatware. It's a little bit bigger. And again, this is all just if you choose how big brother do you want to be. You can disable a bunch of things. This one has a start layout file in it again. So I tried a variety of different ones.
So this one right here, the turn off Microsoft consumer experience.
Yes.
That's where the TikTok, Amazon, Spotify, all of that pops in there because of consumer experience. We do have the registry where that's located.
Yeah.
So we're showing this, we're going to show Intune, but the overall point, both group policy and Intune, any setting change they make, it is most likely, it's just modifying registry.
Yeah, and this is the big one. This Windows tips and the consumer experience, that's the one that annoys everyone. Yep. So this is a big one. And it all lives under cloud content, which is specific to Windows 11. But again, there's going to be instructions. So, okay, that's group policy, mixed results. The one that is going to work and the one that annoys you, and I know it annoys you.
No, I don't have a problem with Intune. I think shoehorning people into a subscription to get basic functionality is a problem. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm back.
I know.
I have no problem with Intune. It functions great when you're using it.
Yeah, it does. So Intune is inside of 365. So you're going to go into 365. You're going to click on Azure and then go to devices. And we're going to make a configuration profile. Okay. So hopefully you're familiar with it, but I just made a configuration profile and then you can literally customize anything. But for this particular one, I'm not going to expand all of these because there's literally a million. For this one though, I'm going to block the games because that was one of the, what are we going to call it? Spam apps.
That's a big one. I don't know. I don't know if because we don't have enterprise for any of our lab. I don't know if the games show up by default for enterprise. If they do, that would be especially egregious. Showing up in pro, I don't like, but I understand it, I guess.
Xbox is in the pinned apps. I don't know if you count that. Do you?
Well,
I don't know.
Well, no, there's the Xbox underscore, like there's a UI underscore appx that is actually critical for a certain level of authentication.
Okay.
It says Xbox, but it is a critical thing that you have to have on there. I don't know about like the layout or the taskbar.
Yeah. So anyway, there are so many. I'm really not going to go through all of them, but you can literally customize everything. But the big ones here, if I'm going to go down to start, again, I made the XML file. I'm going to import it right here, and it's just going to set the start taskbar the way you want it. And then you're going to review and save, right? Now you're going to take this profile and you're going to assign it to your devices. And you're going to make those groups just like you would any other group inside of Azure. So this is the tried and true method, and this is the one that Microsoft is really pushing.
Yeah, and that is why they silently removed a whole bunch of the ADMX tablets, is to kind of, because, I mean, the anger, if like you start doing research on this, the anger is real.
Oh, it is. It's everywhere.
But it was clearly targeted to push people towards Intune, which Intune does work great, but we need solutions for people that maybe don't have the budget for that.
Agreed.
And as we said a little bit earlier on this, almost everything that this is changing is a registry setting. PowerShell is really good at changing registry.
Yeah.
Andrew's really good at PowerShell.
Let's see what he can do.
So let's, he has a script that can simulate a bunch of this stuff.
Let's do it.
If he's still here. He probably ran away.
Andrew.
I think he's frozen.
Oh, we lost Andrew. Yeah. That's a shame because I didn't...
well, let's go to you.
I haven't been script. So we want to top appx before we go to Andrew while he recovers?
Let's do those stupid pinned apps, that whatever they are. I'm calling them quasi apps because they're not really there, which makes it challenging.
Jordan, just yell some more.
Want me to yell some more?
Yeah, more rage. More rage, Jordan.
More rage. So that's what the audience wants.
While we're waiting for him to come back, I can cover, because appx is a big part of Bloatware too. There's a lot that goes in there. So if we want to share screen again that I have here. So this is a little bit of an update on one that I did a while ago for removing appx packages. So basically what we're going through is we're taking the apps that we absolutely want to keep, like Calculator, OneNote. I have Edge there. Edge is flagged as can't be deleted anyway. So
okay, no, I have to ask, how do you know which ones you want to keep?
So I just ran get appx packages, or just package, and then probably I just select only the name, and then I would go through and find the ones that I want.
Okay.
So Windows Terminal, I absolutely don't want to remove. Notepad, I keep Paint. If you are using the desktop version of Power Automate, that is an appx package. You're going to want to include that here.
Okay.
So this is basically the ones I want to keep. The next part down here is it's going to go into each one of those and list out its dependencies, and it's going to add the dependencies to the list, so we don't remove any dependencies for the ones we want to keep.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yep, makes sense.
And then the last part down here is if it is flagged as non-removable, which in most cases, non-removable lists it as system critical.
Like a system one, okay.
I believe customer experience is in there as non-removable, which system critical, I might argue on that one.
Right.
But either way, the reason we're bypassing it is you can get around it, but I believe you're avoiding any kind of support, and you don't know the long-term consequences, and it's going to generally throw up an error. So
so pay attention to that.
We're bypassing those. So we're going to go through, grab all those. We're keeping those. We're keeping the dependencies. We're going to avoid errors for the ones that we can't remove. And then this last part here, the package type filter bundle, is where it adds a little bit of value. So if I do get dash appx package for, we'll just do to-do. It looks like I already, thank you, PS Readline. So this is the one that's installed on my computer. It's one that we'll be removing when we run the script.
Okay.
You can see here it has the 64-bit architecture and a lot of things. So this, I can remove that. I can pipe that into remove. It's going to be gone. It's going to be fantastic. but it's a little bit clunky on to do that one.
Okay.
So if we go through and we do the package type as bundle, package type filters bundle, and there's 6 or 7 options for this. By default, it lists framework and one other as the appx. By specifying bundle, it's going to grab in a new type. You can see here it still is the to-dos or todos tool, but if you look at the name, it no longer has an archetype or architecture. It says neutral and has a little tilde. So this is basically a package of a whole bunch of appx around this one, and it includes the provisioned by default. I have not fully confirmed that yet, but by running this against the bundle, it should take care of the provisioned package as well as 32 or 64-bit, as well as different versions, because it's all going to be bundled into one group.
So what does that mean? Is it like a Revo for PowerShell? It's just going to find everything associated with it?
So when it comes to installing this one with appx, anytime there's a new version of it or there's a new architecture or whatever it is, they're going to add it into that bundle, and it's all going to be included in that bundle for you.
Oh, okay.
So it just makes it's just, instead of going through and cherry picking which ones you want, it's just going to focus on the specific one we want to remove.
Okay.
And then the last part is we're removing. I do have a what if flag right now.
Okay. For all users. Yep. Okay. Got it.
Last part of this script that is a little bit of a struggle is I do have all users, and that does make it a little bit more difficult on a permissions front.
Yeah.
It's a very locked down folder. Sometimes it works, but I have gotten errors. When we did the dry run, I got a whole bunch of access denied. I just closed it and reopened it and ran it, and it worked.
Okay.
If you want to avoid the errors, you can remove all users from all of that, and then just have it set to run when someone logs in.
Yeah.
So every time they log into their computer, it's going to grab everything you want to keep and remove everything else. So if Microsoft comes with a new deal for sugary treats crushing extreme game,
they will.
Since it's not on your approved list, unless that somehow becomes a dependency for Microsoft Paint, is not an approved list, it will remove that automatically, and you don't have to worry about it. So you just wouldn't want to set this as a task scheduler on login and remove the all users, and that's going to bypass a lot of the permissions issues.
Okay.
All right, and want me to just do what if and try it live on the computer that we're running from?
Let's do it.
What's the worst that could happen?
Nothing. It's all going to be good.
It could explode.
Okay. Well, no errors yet. That's a good sign.
That is a good sign.
So, and this is one we are going to put up in the bonus content GitHub that we'll share down below along with Andrew's. We can talk about that, just kind of showcase these are things that you can run. It's just every environment's unique. This requires customization. These are just ones that I picked. But if there's anything else you want to keep, like especially the Power Automate desktop, if you have that, you want to keep it there.
And you want to pick your own list by running
and it does take a while to run because I am removing a lot.
Yeah. So be careful with this, right? Don't just do what you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, but while we're waiting for that run, have we been able to get Andrew back?
Well, he's kind of back. He's trying to share his screen. He says his computer is still wigging out. Andrew, can you hear us, by the way? I guess he can't.
Okay, so in that case, can I take the question James put in there? He did preface it with question. I just don't know if it's been captured or not.
It has absolutely been captured. Let's grab that. James, which one? Oh, so the whitelist.
Okay, yeah.
No,
so
it's a different
I'm just
question.
going to capture it. So he said,
go ahead.
Wouldn't the whitelist method remove some essential apps? So if they are essential, especially if they're system, they're most likely been flagged as non-removable. So we're missing most of those. And that is relevant. If you have Windows 10 before 1809, non-removable doesn't exist. But if you're beyond 1809, which I think at this point most people should be, then the non-removable will save your system apps. The next part is we are grabbing all the dependencies, non-removable not for each one of those. It's taking each package on our list, saying, give me a list of all of your dependencies, and it's adding those to our list. So it's protecting.
Okay.
So this should not remove anything system critical. If it's flagged as non-removable, it won't touch it. If it's a dependency, it won't touch it. And if you want to keep it, it'll keep it there. Everything else should go away.
Didn't I ask you that same question because I was all nervous?
It is a very...
I'm always nervous, though. So
it has potential. Yeah. So the first time it runs, as you can see, it takes a long time. After this, where everything's you're keeping there, the only thing it's going to go through and remove is new apps that are added through the provision package that you don't want.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be taking that long, so I might be having a bit of an issue there. I've only run this with what if before this now. I have confirmed this works, but
so let me just throw this out there. We could image a computer. So say we're using Smart Deploy. We could run this, make sure it's perfect as we want it, capture the image, and then deploy that image, right? Wouldn't that be just a great way to do it?
I'm not sure enough on how appx provision package works for the image, where if you don't specify, remove this provision package. So this may send it out without all of it initially.
Yeah.
But if you have to run the provision package individually, it might come back. I don't know.
Yeah. That makes sense.
All right. Oh, there we go. It says it ran. So let's find out if I do get appx package to do. This one should come back with nothing now. Yep, it's gone.
Yay!
So if I don't run it with anything, and we're just going to select name, you can see everything. I mean, there's still a lot, but XAML I know is critical for a lot of them. The framework.net it definitely is not going to delete. So all of these, and the ones you keep in there are system critical, dependencies, and ones that you've listed.
Beautiful. So yours works.
All right. If we still don't have Andrew, we may have to go to questions. I don't even have access to a script right now.
So Andrew is, he tried and froze, and he's trying to do another reboot to jump in, but I haven't heard back from him quite yet.
Okay.
So
let's take some questions.
We have just a couple of questions that we can grab, and the first one is: can Intune manage existing Windows devices in an on-prem AD domain without going through autopilot? Steve L.
Oh my God, there's so many contingencies to that question. Mine is going to be it really depends on how you're set up. Are you hybrid? Do you have, there's a ton of questions. Do you have a sync box set up?
So if you are solely on-prem and haven't set up anything,
then no.
But if you are a hybrid and you are local and everything, I think you still can make it work, just not without a little bit of configuration.
Yeah, I think the configuration would be heavy there.
Yeah, but if you are solely on-prem,
absolutely not. Then
absolutely not, and that's where you're probably gonna have to start leaning on Andrew Script if we can show it.
Well, and the one thing I will say about Intune that we didn't mention earlier that I think is fair, because we did, throw a little bit of shade. The bad thing about Intune is it does take a while to trigger. So, it's not like group policy where you can go say GP update force and it's immediate. No. So it could take a day.
It is the same as group policy. It's just on a network scope over local.
Yeah, it takes a while.
So yeah, because group policy doesn't apply right away either, and it can be random. Like if you do the force, sure. But as far as how long it takes a policy from group policy to go through your environment, it could take everywhere from 30 minutes to 3 days. Intune's the same thing. I think it follows a similar process, but where it's a greater scope and you have more remote, I think is where it feels like it's more, but I think it's a similar process.
But I think it could be more maddening for people, honestly, is what I've read. But
so I think we have Andrew audio only.
How am I?
Can you share a screen?
Am I actually here? I can try to share a screen, but I want to talk first.
Yeah, we're going to
just tell you about this beautiful script in case it crashes my computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned a lot of these settings that we're looking at today. They're registry settings, right? And they're, GPOs can be a great way to apply that. Intune policies. There are going to be some use cases where that's not going to be available. And my solution takes advantage of a module called Policy File Editor to manipulate the local group policy of a target, which is cool. And I'm going to try and share screen and hope that everything goes really well.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
I do too.
Look at that.
How are we?
Power positive thinking.
Oh, look, there it is.
Did it actually work?
It did.
It's not there. It is.
Yay!
We did it.
Yeah, I left our work chat
professionals.
application closed. I think it was running wild. But awesome. Look at this. So yes, as it says up here, this is pretty modified from this nice little gist right here. Now, first thing we do is we get that policy file editor module that I was mentioning, which is a pretty cool module. So we get it. This is tried and true code that we use in our PowerShell scanners to get modules for people. All right. If you're interested in actually using this as a solution for you, I recommend looking into this article. So just running this from PowerShell, help about registry values for admin templates. It will give you some more descriptions on how you can add different registry values for your templates in the future. And there's computer policy files and a user policy file. And we just grab these. And then we grab the Windows version. Now we define a bunch of computer policies, and you can see these are computer policies, and it has like the little path to where they are in the registry, the name of the value, and then the data and the type. Okay, so this is just a bunch of registry information. And you can see at the end, there's a brief description of kind of what this does. And obviously, I think what we've discovered today is you're going to have to tweak things a little bit. You're going to have to test things in your environment. And I recommend that for this as well. But
So,
here's
Andrew,
yeah.
it seems to be like we did our best guess on like things that we might want to do, but if there's something you absolutely want to remove that's not working, you're going to want to find the policy and maybe research on what registry that policy is changing, and then you'd have to add that to your script, right? Like there's no direct line. It's going to require some research to customize on this one.
Exactly. The benefit of that is that while we're talking about Windows 11 bloatware, this approach can apply to other registry settings you may come across in the future. But yeah, you're on the right track there. There's some user policies as well. And then what we do after that is we set the policy file entries for both of those policies. We GP update to get things up to date. And then one thing that we're going to do, which if you've tested around with this, you've probably ran into this, is that we have to reset the existing start menu layouts, which this is what this code does for all the users.
And those layouts are the ones that Tara was talking about where that customization can be undone by feature upgrades. You may have to make sure this is running more than once.
Yeah, for some of the settings, it kind of depends on what you set. But yeah, it's you got to keep track of things if you're doing the big updates. But a couple of other useful commands if you end up going this route. So say you set some policies and you're like, oh crap, what was that script I did that one time? You can report on your policy files for the computer policies and the user policies here. And say you test this on a computer and you're like, okay, yeah, that is not my approach that I want to do anymore. You can run this code right here to remove all the policy files. So hopefully if this helps you for this particular use case, that's awesome. But also in the future for your registry needs, this is a interesting approach for manipulating the local group policy.
Okay. Do we
Boom.
have other questions that have come in?
We have one question, and to be honest, I don't know if y'all will be able to answer this one. Hang on one second, because it is more Microsoft specific. But let's do this anyway. On our Windows 11 production PCs, we are getting error. The security login logged on the system is full. Only an administrator can sign in to fix the problem. GPO does not work. Any idea when MS will fix?
That's interesting.
That is a new error to me.
I didn't see that one in my ridiculously long amount of research that I did this week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have a good answer. I have to run into it to work. I wish I had a better answer, but I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't either.
We have one more question as soon as I can.
I do like what
there.
I don't know if it's Avi or AV Solomon. So if I understand the theme of this PDQ&A, read that one, Jordan. That's
Let's see. There are Windows 11 GPOs and they don't work consistently, which is correct. Intune enforcement does take hours, and our workaround is one that you're probably going to have to apply more than once. Yeah.
I wish that wasn't our answer, but yeah, that the scripts work perfectly. But pretty much, yeah.
All right, we have one more question. Are these methods a one and done, or do you have to keep running them after every update? Can users make their own changes? Craig M.
So
if it's
go ahead.
enterprise, yes.
Enterprise is one and done, yes.
One and done. If it's Intune, yes, although we talked about the delay.
Yes.
So yes and yes. If you're using the group policy, you can set it so that the users cannot make the changes, and we did include instructions on how to do that. So you just follow those directions. So I did set in my group policies, don't let the users change things, because I wanted to set that. You have to customize that.
So for the appx, that's one that I would have set to run on every login, because you never know when a new package is going to be applied for whatever reason. And if it's not necessary and it's not on your list, I would have that run. Every time they log in, it would just automatically take that out. You don't have to think about it. For Andrew's, it will absolutely work, but every time, and I don't know if this is just cumulative updates or feature upgrades, but there is a time where their update is going to revert a lot of those registry settings. So having that set to run frequently is probably mandatory at this point, mostly because once those registries flip back, we saw the issue with the profile in the start menu. Once that flips back, if someone logs in and they get that profile back, removing it becomes a challenge. So keeping it gone is important. So I might have that one running pretty aggressively. And where it's mostly registry and local policy settings changes, the nice thing about that is the script runs if everything's already set, nothing's changing. It's just basically going through and confirming it didn't change back.
Yeah.
So it's not resource intensive. The appx looked that way at first, but after first run, it goes very quick.
Yeah.
So for those ones, if you're doing the workaround, I would want those set to be run more often than not. And probably on user logon because there is a lot of user specific settings for those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that, are we good?
That's it.
Yep.
All right. So thanks everyone for tuning in and letting me get my initial vent out. That felt good. I've been wanting to do that in a public forum for a while. One last caveat for the appx one. As you notice, like Notepad is now considered an appx package. So in Windows 11, if you run this, you don't include Notepad is gone. And you can re-add it. It's a bit of a process. So make sure your list, if you're running that, is exactly what you want it, because once it's gone, it's a little bit more challenging, not impossible, but a little bit more challenging to add it back in. Other than that, hopefully it gives you, if you're on enterprise with Intune, congrats to you.
Yeah,
That's
you're
fantastic.
good. You're happy.
Everyone else, hopefully we give you at least a starting point to where you can start customizing your own to build a fit for your needs. I wish it was easier, but at least we have a solution that can work. There are some third-party apps that do a lot of this. We just have not vetted those, so we didn't bring those up. So if you're interested in something like that, that's research might be worth it on that.
Yes, exactly.
All right. For PDQ, I'm Jordan.
I'm Tara.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us your comments. We would love to hear your thoughts and insight. And don't forget, you can join us on Discord. That's where the fun is. Thanks again, and we'll see you back here next week.